Welcome to the third pour of Sip and Spill, a podcast where the people behind the game get the microphone. Honest, unfiltered conversation with spouses of coaches and players, unsung, but on Sip and Spill, they take center stage. Sip and Spill is sponsored by Summit Credit Union, by Habish and Rotier, by Red and White Wine Bar in Wanakee, by Evie & Co. Boutique in Wanakee, and by the spa at Autumn Organics. Today's guest on Sip and Spill is Annie Nelson, more commonly known as Annie Thomas, her husband, Joe Thomas, the Pro Football Hall of Famer. Joe and Annie have been married 19 years and are parents to 4 beautiful children. My captain and your host for Sip and Spill is Kari Heller.
Welcome, Annie.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, we already had like 45 minutes of a conversation.
I know. Do you remember it all and we'll just redo it?
I don't know. No,
Okay.
I don't. But I have to say, when I do these podcasts, I really want to try and support the colors of your teams. So, and I'm a little obsessed with Evie & Co. So right up the street, if you're looking for a little boutique. Okay, but I have brown in here, right?
That's
okay,
a stretch.
Badger.
That's a stretch.
I tried.
You don't own a bunch of brown and orange colored things? I'm shocked and appalled.
don't. I mean, that palette is my colors, I would say.
So when we first got to the NFL, it was like a really bad brown.
Okay.
And now, obviously, since like everyone's an influencer and everybody needs to look beautiful at these games, now they're like really cute colors. And I'm like,
Oh, wow.
oh well.
Whatever.
I know.
Well, let's back up a little. So, Annie Nelson, we talked a little bit about your family, grew up in Hudson, Wisconsin.
Yes.
3 girls in the family, Kari, Annie, and Amanda.
I was like, that was so impressive.
Whoa. I was like, I know it's an A. I got to remember it. And did all 3 of you play basketball there? At Hudson?
Yes and no. My older sister and I never played together. As soon as I started, she then stopped. But we were on the golf team together.
Okay, awesome.
And then my little sister, she was a freshman when I was a senior. And she got pulled up for the state tournament.
Ooh, fun.
When we got to play, yeah.
I was just going to ask you what your favorite memory is
It
about
was
high
so
school
wonderful.
basketball. That would be it.
That was so wonderful. We won the state tournament by quite a bit. And so she got to come into the game and it was so fun being there with her. And
Yeah,
that was back when they did it at the Kohl Center. And now they don't do that. And it's
right,
not.
Green Bay.
I know.
Yeah. We were fortunate enough to have one of our kids go to state, and it was in Green Bay, though.
Yeah.
Which is still fun. It's like a
I
little
know.
destination.
It is.
and-
It is.
But I bet it was really fun to play at the Kohl Center.
Yes. And then my sophomore year, we actually played at the Field House, which was even more incredible.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did those games end up?
Well, we won my senior year, which was incredible. But my sophomore year, we lost to, do you remember the name Misty Bass? She was Chubby Checker's daughter for Janesville.
I feel like I do, yeah.
We lost by 1 point in the championship game. So
Okay. And that was what year?
that was my sophomore year. So that was 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was 2 babies in already. So, but I loved watching. We would sit on the couch for those tournaments.
I know.
And
They're so
I'm
magical.
I'm sure you were on the TV when I was watching.
They're so magical.
Yeah.
I love those moments.
Yes, definitely. Okay, fast forward to college, and was the University of Wisconsin a natural choice?
It was. So my older sister went there, and on my visit, it clicked. I fell in love with all of the girls on the team, and who are now some of my absolute most amazing friends ever. But it was a difficult decision. I wanted to go somewhere far away. I was looking at Pepperdine. I was looking at Arizona.
Okay.
And then I went to Marquette for a visit, and nothing compared to Wisconsin. It was it sold right away.
Plus the foreground of meeting Joe,
Yes.
which we'll get to.
Yes.
Which we'll get to.
I mean, it was meant to be for so many reasons. And it was just a wonderful time.
Awesome. And you had a great time. And your sister was there.
And my older sister, we actually lived together my sophomore year, her senior year.
Okay.
Which was wonderful for my parents because they could come and stay with us. And it was
excellent.
wonderful.
I love that. Do they still live in your childhood home?
No, sore subject.
Okay.
They sold my childhood home. I can't believe it, but they did. And I actually, my family thinks I'm such a stalker. I was pregnant with our last baby, and I had to go up there for a baby shower. And I just happened to pull into my driveway of my old childhood home. I knocked on the door. No one was there. So I was like hugely pregnant, peering in all the windows just to see if they did. And they changed it. I was like,
how dare them?
I know.
What?
I know. I just wanted to see.
But did you knock on the door?
I did. I tried to get in. I know. They had a cat. I'm sure I'm on somebody's Ring camera looking absolutely sweaty and horrible, but that's okay.
Is it the same people? Like They haven't sold.
They haven't sold. No.
Okay.
And they have little kids, and it was really sweet. But
yeah.
I
was watching something recently. I don't remember what it was, but it was a documentary, and the guy was like, I just drove up to my house because I forgot something in my room.
Yeah.
So
that was me.
But that's not a true statement.
If somebody came to your house and said, I lived here for 18 years, can I just come in and see?
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say absolutely. Take your shoes off, and then you may come in. And
I guarantee they would have said yes if they were home.
I was very pregnant and very creepy, but
well, very
never know.
unthreatening. Very unthreatening.
That's true.
Long-time listener, third-time caller. So I'm just curious, did we go, I broadcasted your games. So like when you played at Wisconsin, I was doing Wisconsin women's basketball on the radio, and then you and I did a season together of doing games. But did we go to your home for a dinner?
No, that was Steph in Iowa. We pulled off at the truck stop on the way to Minnesota and dropped me off to my parents. And then I went home. But then, do you remember we went to Steph's farm in Iowa?
Yeah.
Steph Rich at the time, now Daisy. She's actually going to the state tournament as a coach in Iowa.
Ooh.
I know.
That's
so cool.
Just like the sweetest farm family. And it was a pig farm, so you can imagine how it smelled. But it was so fun to see her family in her house. And actually, we did that with Emily Ashbaugh, too, in Washington.
I thought we went to more than one family's home.
Yeah.
Usually it was, a senior type season kind of a concept. But when you think back, and then I'll let you jump back into this, Kari. When you think back of that 4-year run as a college athlete, as a player, what most stands out on the athletic side of your college experience?
I think the athletic side of things was just how absolutely difficult the first couple of years are for, especially, I was, the one in high school. I was, all state and state champion. And then to come here and going into my first individual with a girl at 6'7", Lelo Gabisa, 6'5", Emily Ashbaugh, 6'3", Ebba. The ball didn't even touch the backboard for the whole first 2 weeks of my career. And so I was like, what have I done? And, calling home, my mom's like, just come back to River Falls. And so how difficult the transition from high school to college was, but then how, I'm proud I was of myself for working through that. I had to gain a lot of weight. I was very undersized, but then getting to be a starter and, working my way through that, looking back now at how hard that was, I couldn't have asked for anything more.
And let's mention 71 games, 223 career points, and 307 rebounds.
Oh, geez.
Do we have that right?
Did you ask my mom? Is that where you got?
I'm not sure where that information came from. I
was just impressed that you knew that I was married for 19 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know if I was married for 19 years.
We got the timeline. So we did some math on my phone.
I love it.
Math's not my strength. Neither is direction. So if I have to ask where some of those colleges or whatever.
And if you say go north, you're talking to the wrong person. I need trees, I need buildings, I need that. No.
Do you know what I need? Easttown and Westtown.
Oh, yeah.
I can say which way is west, because it's I would go that way to Westtown.
Absolutely.
Or that way to Easttown.
Same.
So, okay. All right. So let's jump into Badgers. You're a Badger. You are basketball player. I'm sure you hang out with other athletes from other teams, or is that just an assumption?
No.
Or do you just really not have time to do anything else?
You have no time, but that's why those players, not only on your own team, but so we were at the Kohl Center, and it was our little pocket of, it was us and the men's basketball team. The guys hockey team, they just were there for the smell only. You could tell if they were in the building because you just couldn't even go into the basement of the Kohl Center.
Yeah.
But we were on such a different schedule as the hockey team, because if the ice was down, we were gone.
Sure.
And so we just really bonded with the men's team, and they were some of our biggest allies, and they would, root for us. And then you had all the other athletes that were over at Camp Randall, track and volleyball and football and all that. But being on campus in the summertime is when you are with all of these people. You're the only ones that are really there, because you have to be there for workouts. And there's that 8-week period where you can take your classes to get your scholarship, and then you are working out. And so that's when I met Joe, is when we were both on campus for those summer workouts. And summertime in Madison is so magical as it is. And then to meet the most amazing guy. And just like, I was with my friends all the time. It was really
what
wonderful.
a fun memory.
It was so, it was so magical that anybody that doesn't stay on campus in the summertime, I'm like, oh, we got to do it one time.
Yeah.
Just try.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So that was going into your sophomore year, and he was coming in as a freshman.
Opposite. So actually, no, that was going into my junior year, him going into his sophomore year.
Okay.
Yes.
So you're already on campus for a couple of years.
Scratch that. When did I meet him?
My resources say,
Which was me.
Oh, you were going into your senior season.
I was going into my senior year.
He was going into his junior year.
I only saw him play for one season because I didn't get to really go to a lot of his games his junior year. So yeah, I met him the summer before my senior season.
Okay.
Summer before his junior season.
Okay.
And
you'd been on campus.
We had been on campus
at the same time.
He remembers meeting me. I don't remember meeting him, but there was a guy on the football team.
Always the way it should be.
I know. Write that down. Craig Urbick was an offensive lineman, and he was from my high school.
Okay.
And also Eric Vanden Heuvel was on the line too. So two guys from my high school. Oh, gosh. And I had an injury going in to my junior year, and I had to go over to Camp Randall to have a specialist look at my foot. And I was in there with a big boot, probably looking absolutely horrible. And there were all of the offensive linemen getting taped up, and I was just talking to Craig and Eric and catching up with them. And that's when Joe had said, he was like, he's like, do you have her number? And Craig didn't give it to him, thank goodness, but because he had to work for it.
Was this before texting?
Oh my gosh, yes.
2000.
This was way before texting.
Let's see. When that was like 2000. Oh yeah.
That was like 2005.
Yeah.
And actually it's really funny jumping to the NFL when guys found out that he couldn't text me because we didn't have texting. I mean, we could text by like, $5 per word.
Yes.
And when they found out that he had to like actually call me and talk to me, I was like blown away by these young boys. Yeah.
Right. So I was going to ask, so you met on campus,
yes,
in the training room or whatever, something like that. He remembers meeting you earlier, at some point, whatever. So then what was the next step? So he actually physically called you. How did he get your number if your friend didn't give it to him?
So this is where it actually happened then. So I like to tell my children that we met at church or the library, and it was actually outside of Wando's. And it was the night before my 21st birthday. So this was then the next spring. So we went the whole, year, never even saw him again.
Yeah.
And then outside of Wando's, I was actually with my boyfriend at the time, and Joe grabbed my arm and pulled me over to him and said, I know you through Craig and all that. And then he was like, I would love to take you out on my canoe sometime. And I was like, this guy is so creepy. A canoe? Like, I mean, come on now.
Yes.
That's where you go to be murdered and then dumped into the water. And so I was like, oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you. I don't know if I like canoes, but okay. And so I actually gave him my number, which I don't know why I did, because my boyfriend was standing right there. And so then fast forward, my boyfriend and I broke up. He graduated, left, and
did he know the boyfriend?
He was standing right there. I mean, the writing was on the wall. I mean, he was graduating in a month, and so it was what it was. But
he didn't step in and say,
he did
I'm
not.
So sorry, future Hall of Famer.
When you see this giant man on a scooter. But yeah, so then he had called me, and I just was not interested. And I'll never forget my mom. I was up north that summer, and my mom was like, why don't you give this guy a try? He keeps calling and he seems so nice. I was like, yes, but he's an athlete, and I do not want to date an athlete. I had dated athletes, and it was so hard, and all the reputations and all that. So I was like, no, I just don't want to. Well, then we had the basketball guys over for a party, and I was playing quarters with, is it Tanner Bronson? Was he the walk-on? And I was playing quarters with Tanner, and he saw that Joe had called me, and he's like, we know Joe. And all the basketball guys were like, oh yeah, he's a great guy. And Joe was really big in the basketball world in high school. He thought he was going to go play college basketball, actually.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, really? And so I called him and invited him over. And then that night after that, we just,
that was
just hit it off.
The first, did you go canoeing?
Many times.
Okay.
Yes, we're still
You
canoeing.
didn't say, I prefer a kayak.
I mean, honestly, one of our first canoe trips was on the Wisconsin River, and I still said yes to marrying him after this. I don't like sand. And I am an outdoorsy girl, but I'm very particular.
Yeah.
And so we went on the Wisconsin River, and you have to camp on sandbars. And we had our tent all set, and I had our nice sleeping bags all lined up, and I had a little bucket of water for your feet, and then a towel and all that. Well, Joe, it was really buggy that night, and so he wanted to quick rinse off in the water, and then he ran through the sand and then said, "Open the tent." And I did, because I didn't know what was happening, and I opened it, and he dove in
with all the sand.
And sand. And so it was just the whole night, I just lay there. I'm like, this cannot be happening. This is not. Oh, it was so bad.
But that was the night he asked you to marry him?
No,
okay.
no.
Okay, got it.
We were engaged, and I had already committed to this lifestyle of sand. But yeah.
Okay, this lifestyle of sand and an athlete. Yeah. Two things he had no idea were against him.
I know, sand and an athlete, but I still said yes.
So, so you graduate. You played 4 years at Wisconsin, and you graduate. He's still in school.
Yes.
Okay, so he went 4 years as well.
Yes. So he tore his ACL his third year, his junior year, in the bowl game.
Okay.
And I was back home because we were still in season. And it was so sad. He called me and he was like, this is it. And I was like, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Because he was thinking about going into the draft that year.
Sure.
And so it actually was such a blessing in disguise, because he would have been fine. He would have gone high, but maybe not past like round 3.
With his ACL tear. Is that
even before the ACL tear?
Oh,
so he was thinking that he was going to go in the draft, but then with the ACL tear, the decision was made for him. He had to come back for one more year at Wisconsin. And it ended up being such a blessing. I mean, now looking back on things, your time in college is so short as it is. And if he would have missed out on that last year, and then, he had such a wonderful senior season, it moved him up so high in the draft, and, his story was written from there. But when he called me, it was really, he didn't know what his future would hold.
Right.
And so, that was really hard. So devastating. But then it ended up obviously working out. And then he stayed for his senior year, and then I stayed for my 5th year.
Okay.
And that's when I got to work with the great Mike Keller.
Okay, excellent. Yes, you were.
I love how you said that. That was very nice.
That was the reason why I
broadcast
stayed.
Partners. Yes.
I carried the show. He was my partner. It's technicalities.
Yeah,
but
it is.
It's pretty much how it was.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. We had a blast. I
loved it.
Looking back on that time, I loved the family that was Wisconsin women's basketball that I was a part of. The diverse personalities.
Oh,
but it's not all fun.
No.
Because you guys didn't win a ton.
Yeah.
But I loved being part of it. And you and Ashley Josephson and, all of the players that came through over the course of time, Steph Rich and then Lisa and Ed Stone, it really was kind of a family. Very cool memories for me looking back on it. And then I got to work a year with you. Kari Katnaugh did a year of games. So all of it was a blast for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's not get into the kids yet until we hear how Joe proposed.
Oh, so that was in December of then the end of his senior year. And there's like the award circuit, they call it. So it ends with the Heisman as the last award of the college season. And it starts with the Draddy Award. I think it's a different name now. The Draddy is the academic Heisman. I think they've changed the name of it. But it's actually at the same night as the College Football Hall of Fame. And now after Joe's been in the College Football Hall of Fame and we see the Draddy Award being presented, I'm like, oh my gosh, did we even know what was going on at the same time?
Yeah.
But so that was in New York, and Joe had the ring in his pocket. And I didn't know. I mean, we hadn't been dating that long, but we had been, obviously together for more than a year, but we were still very young.
Really got along great too, I'm sure.
We had talked about our future, and we knew that we were going to get married. Just, I didn't know, obviously, when.
Right.
So he had the ring in his pocket, and he was being so weird in the Milwaukee airport. And he wanted me to go through security first. And I was like, I don't think we'd ever flown together before. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this how he is in airports? I don't think this is going to work. I can't handle a nervous flyer, an early flyer. And so, he was being so weird the whole time. Little did I know that he had the ring in his pocket because he didn't want to put it in his bag and check it and have anything happen. So we're in New York, and he had this grand plan of taking me on a carriage ride through, downtown New York.
Yes.
Well, we were in our hotel, and it was after the award ceremony, and we were all dressed up, and it was such a wonderful night. Well, we were trying to head out, and I did not know that he was trying to propose to me. And in comes Cooper Manning, Peyton and Eli's brother. And he stops us and he wants to chat. And he's like, oh, come on in over here, have a drink. And like Kirk Herbstreit's there and all these guys. And Joe's like, no. And I'm like, why are you being so weird? Like, this is so awesome. These are all the biggest names in football. And so he's like, oh, okay. So we got waylaid and we didn't get to go. So then the next day we fly to Florida. And that's where the Outland Trophy is for the Offensive Lineman of the Year, Heisman, all that stuff. And so the night before, we're at this, dinner with all of the athletes that are up for these awards, and he had to stay in these hotels with one of the other guys. It was it's just the tradition that they do. So we're at the award ceremony, or the pre-award ceremony, and then we leave, and I was like, why does he not want to hang out with any of these guys? This is like the coolest thing. And we start walking down the boardwalk, and we're all by ourselves in the Disney property, and he pulls out this ring, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then he tells me the backstory of all the times that I ruined it, and I was like, no! So it was so magical. And then it was his birthday, like 2 days before. And so he's on the stage, just won the Outland Trophy the day later. And I feel like it was Chris Fowler. Is he? I think he was the one that did the ceremony. He's from College Game Day. And he was on stage and he said, Joe, I heard, you had a big day. And he was like, yeah, it was my birthday. And they're like, no, you got engaged. And he's like, oh, yes. He's like, I got engaged. I was like, oh, my gosh.
So sweet.
I know. So, yeah, and then we got married 6 months later. It was such a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Engaged, drafted.
Yep.
I graduated. We moved. Wedding. And
was the wedding here in Wisconsin?
It was here in Wisconsin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you moved to Cleveland.
We moved to Cleveland, and then he went to his first training camp. And after he shut the door and left for training camp, I was like, what just happened in the last 6 months of our life? It was really crazy.
Yeah.
It was a whirlwind.
And so how did Dad reply to his asking permission?
It's such a joke in our family because my dad is the sweetest man. I absolutely love him. And he is just he's a jokester, but he just said, tremendous. Yep, tremendous. And Joe was like, great. Thank you.
Yes.
And scene. That was it.
Got it.
Like, tremendous.
Mom was involved too, probably.
Yeah. And she was obviously the weeping, sobbing, but yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that story.
Yeah.
Way to go, Joe. He had sand against some canoeing, flying.
Yeah. It turns out he's an excellent flyer.
Yes, good.
Yeah. It was just the ring that was making him nervous.
Yeah.
I know.
That's funny. I wonder how that even why do you think that was a good idea? Maybe to put it in your.
I mean, and
I don't know. Would it have been fine? It would have been fine.
His whole family was with us, so he could have given it to somebody else.
Yeah.
But no, he had it in his pocket the whole time.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. Let's get into the family portion of you and Joe. You have Logan, who's 13, Cameron, 11, Jack, 9, and Reese, 7.
Yes.
And maybe you don't remember. I don't remember, but I remember. I don't remember which child. But Mike said to me, hey, Joe and Annie are having a baby. I think we need to bring them a meal. I'm like, okay, cool. And so our go-to on that is Gino's lasagna. Yes. And so I remember getting it. And I remember Mike driving it over. But
it was Reese.
It was the number 4.
It was the number 4. It was Reese.
Because that makes sense because you're in Middleton at the time. I remember that part of it. Yeah. So I that was just one of our connections. Yes. The other one was I met you at the Kentucky Derby guarding against cancer.
Yes.
I think I met you briefly.
Yes. Hopefully before the wine had started.
Well, I think we both had a wine glass in our hands.
Excellent.
So, yes.
Excellent.
But it's been fun I feel like I know you, even though we haven't spent a lot of time together because Mike has had a lot of great things to say about both of you. But I think I'm sure each birth of your kids has a different story. But you did share with us about when you found out we were pregnant with Jack.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So the NFL is really funny because I know in baseball they have a million games. And so the birth of a child isn't really that big of a deal. I mean, they can miss a game unless it's World Series, whatever. But in the NFL, the timing of your kids being born is so huge because is it going to be an off-season baby? Are you going to be in season? And also, like when you find out you're pregnant, your partner most of the time is gone. And so for when I found out I was pregnant with Jack, our third, Joe was already in training camp. So they stayed at a hotel for the entire month of August.
Where was it?
In Cleveland, luckily.
Cleveland.
Yes.
Okay.
They were one of the only teams that didn't leave, which was great. So I could, take the kids to see him at training camp. It wasn't the best, but I mean, at least you could see him within that month. And so I had found out I was pregnant with Jack, and I didn't want to tell him over the phone, which I did tell him over the phone with our fourth because he was in Chicago, and I'm like, whatever. So I wanted to tell him in person, and Logan, our oldest, was 2, and Cameron, our youngest, wasn't even 1 yet. And then here we go with number 3. And I know, as my parents say, that you know how this happens, and you can probably time this a little better, but whatever. We're dumb athletes.
Yeah.
And so I, put the 2 girls in the car. We went to training camp, and I'm super emotional because I'm like, how are we going to do this? I mean, we're going to have 3 in 3 years. And I had both of the girls on my hips, and I walk up to the gate, and Joe had just been carted off the field. And I just look at the security guards and be like, he got rolled up on. And as soon as I heard that, I just started bawling.
More.
And they're like, he's going to be okay. And I'm like, that's not why I'm crying. I'm crying
I don't care about him.
And they're like, whoa, somebody, they're like walkie-talkie, like, get Mrs. Thomas out of here. They're like, this isn't good for the fan base. Like, no one needs to see this. And so they brought me into him in the thing, and he's like, I'm fine. And I'm like, I'm pregnant. And he's like, I maybe not be fine. I'm like, oh gosh.
So that wasn't a major injury.
No, I mean,
but it just was like
it was the whole thing. I was alone with these 2 kids.
You weren't sleeping.
I wasn't sleeping. I found out I was pregnant.
Yes.
He
probably
gets
don't
hurt.
feel that great.
It's super hot in Cleveland. It's like, oh, I know. It was
and
all
he's
the
gone
things.
and just everything.
He's gone.
Yeah.
And it was not great.
So a couple weeks ago, Mike emceed the Badger Hall of Fame event. I'm pretty sure that's what it was called. And he had all 4 of your kids there. So I was like, yay, Annie gets a weekend away. And I went up to him and I'm like, okay, I need to know who number 3 is. And they're like, Jack.
This guy.
So, so we fist bumped.
The guy with the big head and the big ears.
I didn't see that, but
he's so sweet.
Yeah, they're all so sweet. What a
They're
sweet,
so sweet.
Yeah, very sweet family. Yeah. Very sweet family. So then, okay, so let's see.
Let me interject one thing on the beginning of the NFL run, because you have a bunch of years there where you don't have children.
Yeah.
So give us a sense of what that lifestyle was like, and supporting Joe, who was an all-pro from the beginning. And your competitive background maybe helped to support some of that, because you understood kind of what he was going through. What was NFL life like for both of you early before you start having kids?
So we made a decision, and we got married very young. I was 23 and he was 22. And we said, we want to be married for 5 years before we start our family. So that we did have control over. And he's always said that he and a couple of other teammates had wives that were college athletes. And the wives that were college athletes, even, I don't care where you played, what sport you were, you had the understanding of what they were going through. Like I said, I mean, my college career was transitioning from high school to college was so difficult that I was so prepared to just whatever he needed at home, I was going to make life as comfortable as possible for him. I mean, that's not saying that like he could do whatever he wanted and whatever, but just to come home and have a support system of like, I kind of knew a little bit of what he was going through, not to any degree that what he actually was, but I just knew for those first couple of years, just whatever he needed, I was going to be there for him as that support system. And it was really hard. Our first year, I wanted to find something for myself as well. And so I did jump into coaching at Cleveland State, which now looking back, I mean, it was wonderful because I met people and it was wonderful, but college coaching, while I'm trying to support him and trying to figure out this whole world, it was really bad. I would be on the road for like 4 or 5 days, and he would come home and be like, "Where are you? Why?" I'm like, I know this was not a great decision, but I mean,
was
I couldn't
that for
walk
1
away.
year then?
It was only for 1 year, and unfortunately, I mean, wonderful. We made the NCAA tournament, but I was like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? But yeah, it was a wonderful experience. But Kate Peterson, who was an assistant coach for me my freshman year here, she took the head job there. And so that was the connection was that. But
that's great.
Yeah, it wasn't planned, obviously. I wanted to find something for myself and went a little bit too far.
Yeah. Right. You didn't know.
I didn't know. Yes. And But yeah, other than that, I mean, it was so wonderful being in that atmosphere. Bringing children into it was a totally different experience. But those first 5 years when it was just us two, it was so much fun. I mean, the families that we met and our friends, and it was, I can't describe it because it's adult life, a really serious job, but then you get all of the benefits of his NFL career as a young couple, and the off seasons were wonderful. And then when you have kids, there's no off season because you're a parent. And so it just changed the dynamic, but then bringing the kids to see him play. And I mean, his 100th game, I surprised him and brought Logan, and he didn't know that she was coming. She was just a baby, but I mean, he was just a basket case. And so, I was just seeing those moments through their eyes then was really special. But those first 5 years were like,
just so much fun.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I talk a lot. I mean, obviously I'm married to Mike, and I've learned a lot about the sporting industry.
Condolences. Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Not thank
hot
you.
mic. Hot
Wait,
mic.
what? Whoa,
okay.
I said thank you, but I didn't mean that.
I said hot mic.
That's so good. Yeah, I wanted to touch on your coaching career, so thank you for mentioning that. But I always it's such a dramatic jump, and I don't think people realize it. I don't experience it, but I see it enough from high school to college, from college to the NFL. I've been on some sidelines, you know, and it's a different animal. I've never been on the sideline of an NFL game, and I don't think I plan to be.
It's
because the college
wild how much larger they look when you're on the sideline.
Yes.
And so Joe's rookie year, I don't think he had any grand idea that he would start right away because they had a left tackle.
Yeah.
And his name was Ryan Tucker. And if you look at the program, he looked like an ex-convict. I mean, full tattoos from his chin down, huge beard, giant, massive Texas boy. Yeah. And Joe came home. He had the one day off in training camp, and he came home and he was like white. And he's like, Ryan Tucker came up to me in the locker room and said, I'm in a little bit of trouble and you're going to have to be starting. Oh. And I was like, what?
So he was a convict.
I know. I was like, what did he do, and where did he bury the gun?
Or the body.
He had gotten himself into a little bit of extra trouble with some enhancement drugs.
Okay.
And so Joe, I was like, is this guy gonna like kill you in your sleep because you took his job? And Joe's like, I don't think I'm gonna take it. I think I just have to be the starter. Well, then he ended up playing wonderfully, and then they moved Ryan to the right tackle.
Okay.
So
it worked out.
It was so meant to be, and I don't know if his career would have started off the way it did if Ryan wouldn't have done illicit drugs. But thank you, Ryan Tucker.
Yeah.
But when I looked at his picture, I was like, who are we talking about here? Please tell me it's not the one that is covered in tattoos. Okay, great. We're taking his job. Excellent.
Get an alarm system.
And Ryan was number 72, and everyone kept asking Joe, are you going to, ask Ryan to take it? And Joe's like, I will not be asking Mr. Tucker anything. He was like, I will take 73 gladly and walk away. Like, oh, this guy was massive.
Before we move on, the kids, I just want to hear a little bit about Logan at the Browns versus Patriots game.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom Brady.
Yes.
Right.
So that was, Tom had Deflategate, and he had been suspended for 6 games. And of course, the poor Browns had to play him on his very first game back. So he was pissed. Belichick was pissed. Everybody was pissed in the organization. And then here they come to the poor Browns. I'm sure we were like 0-6 at that point. And so I brought Logan to the game. And as I brought her to almost every single game I could.
Sure.
And they're screaming, fucking cheater. And I'm sitting there, and we were a little ways away from the dog pound, so she couldn't really hear, but she goes, Mommy, what are they saying? And I go, they're saying flipping Cheetos. And
that's great.
She goes, what are they flipping Cheetos for? I'm like, they're trying to catch him in the air. I'm like, anyways, go Dad.
Right. Yeah, so she was old enough to actually hear.
Oh yeah, she could hear. But then that game was such a pivotal moment for us, because that was the game where Joe had a perfect game.
Yeah.
He not one thing wrong. Didn't step with his left foot when he was supposed to step with his right. His hand placement was perfect. He graded perfectly.
Okay.
And they lost by 45.
Unreal.
And after the game, I had Logan in the back of the car and he was covered in ice packs. I mean, he would just come out looking, it was horrible. And he just broke down crying. And he was like, I don't know what else I can do. I've given everything to this team. I have done everything perfectly. And at that point, he didn't even know his grade yet because they don't grade until the next day. But he knew he had a good game. And he was like, I could feel that I had a great game. And he's like, I can't do anything more. And we still lose by this much.
Yeah.
And so that's actually when he started to see somebody at the facility. And I think, he's been such an advocate for like mental health issues in professional sports.
Yeah.
And before then it was like, just suck it up. You're an offensive lineman, just go on to the next game. And, but yeah, that was such a turning point for him in his career as far as like, he was just like, okay, I'm just going to buckle down and do my best and just get through this.
It's a great segue into actually why I wanted to start this. It was a natural thing for like, hey, Mike, like he was let go from his position at iHeart. And I'm like, why don't I do a podcast in the interim? We'll get some of the tweaks out for his podcast. And he's like, well, what would you talk about? And I said, I want to bring the emotion and the reality back to players, coaches, families. Yeah. Like they are real people. And one of the things that I say a lot on this podcast and then also to people, no one in the stadium wants to win more than the players and coaches.
Oh, yeah.
And fans too, right?
Yeah.
So it's I'm glad you brought that up because it's such an important piece to why I want to do this.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard. I've gotten a different perspective of going to UW football games too with some of the coaches' wives.
Right.
And sitting there with young kids, family members, right? And coaches' wives. And I just listen around me and it's so critical. And that's live. And then I can't imagine it does happen. And I don't see a lot of it, but I see enough of it of what happens online.
Yeah.
And so the fans have a little bit ruined it for me because these are kids. Yes, they're getting paid now, but at the NFL level, well, they should be doing this, this, and this because they're getting millions of dollars, whatever.
Yeah.
But how, so you said that Joe like started to see like a sports psychologist maybe or something to help him with that because what else can you do? And did people notice that he was doing his best or was he still criticized?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things on that. So one was he stayed off of social media the entire time he was in the NFL. His last year is when a couple of the guys in the media were like, you have a personality. He's like, I was so guarded because I didn't want to show anybody anything. I just needed to do my job and move on. But then towards the end of his career, he's like, okay, I need to maybe start showing them that I could do, broadcast and all that stuff. Yeah. So he was very guarded and I never had Twitter. I never did any of that. And women in the stands would watch their husbands and then look at the live feed and see what people were saying about them.
Oh gosh.
And
that'd be so hard.
I was like imploring them, turn it off.
Yeah.
Because then when something good would happen, they would, they would get that instant boost of like, oh, they see that he's good. But then it comes with such negative. But there's so many things to be said about, you said these guys want to win like you would not even believe. More than anything. This is their livelihood. This is what they prepare for. And we had gotten some comments. We would go to a charity event in Cleveland and fans would be like, you just lost. Why are you out?
Yeah. Right. What are you
I'm
supposed
out
to
of
do?
my home. I'm so sorry that I'm doing something for the community. So you can't win. And so there would be some Monday nights, because that was our night off, where I would want to go to dinner and he'd be like, I can't go to dinner. He's like, I just can't go out.
Because people would come up to you? Like
people would come up to him or they would take a picture of them and be like, oh, look at this guy. Aren't you having a great Monday night? And I'll never forget, it was before people knew who Joe was. It was our first off season and we always went to this little tavern for fish fry. And we were sitting there and Derek Anderson, who was our quarterback, Joe's rookie year, had a great season and he got a new contract. And it was up on the TV and all of the guys at the bar, they all said, oh, look at that. $9 million for rolling out of bed on Sunday. And I was like, hold me back. Joe was like, do not say anything. He's like, please, I don't want to be in the news. And I was like, oh, if you knew what this man did and what he sacrificed. I mean, yes, $9 million. That's insane. That's insane. But in the grand scheme of things of what this, entity is that is the NFL, I mean, it's like, he's not just rolling out of bed on Sundays and he's giving
takes,
everything.
what it takes.
Yes. So, I mean, there's so many different sides to it. But with all that being said, we were in 2 fan bases, Wisconsin and Cleveland, that were, I mean, the most wonderful fan bases ever.
Okay.
And so Joe would look at it as, if they're not interested, they won't come. And so we would go to Miami, all away fans. And so he's like, what would you rather have? You know, fan base that just doesn't care, or a fan base like the Browns that were just like living and dying by this game. And yes, they're going to have things to say, but it means that they are invested and interested. And so, I mean, it's hard because it's like on one hand, you want them there and want them to be invested and care. And then on the other hand, you want them to also understand that you are a human and
have emotions.
And have emotions.
Yeah. And you're trying very hard.
Yes. And as the wife, we briefly talked beforehand about when there was rumors of Joe getting traded to Denver. And I was pregnant with Jack. So poor Jack. Hopefully he doesn't remember anything in utero. But I was pregnant with Jack, and this was the same year that he had like 5 perfect games in a row. Joe was playing lights out, but we were losing, I mean, every game. And I'll never forget, I was listening. I should not have listened, but I did listen to the local radio station, and one of the disc jockeys, he was just like this like shock jock. So he just said things just to piss people off, which winner, he did it. And he was saying, we're watching the wheels fall off of Joe Thomas right now. And I wanted to call in right then and there. And luckily, I mean, Joe would have been so mad if I would have, but I couldn't believe what he was saying. I was like, do you want to see his score sheet? Like, do you want to see his grades? Like, this is insane. And I was like, that is not the guy that you should be picking on right now. And so as his wife, I'm just sitting there fuming. And he came home and I told him what happened. He's like, you're listening to that trash? And I was like, yes, I am. And they said this about you. And he was like, oh my gosh. And I was hormonal, but I rightfully so was very upset for my husband.
Absolutely.
And then all these rumors start coming of going to Denver. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant with our 3rd. We're going to move in the middle of the season. And Joe, I mean, he had nothing to say about it. I mean, he couldn't say like, yes, I want to go. I mean, they had to make the deal. But half of me was like, oh my gosh, just go. Just get out of here and have success and have somebody appreciate you. And then the other half of me was like, oh my gosh, do I really want to start over again in this moment? But I mean, God had a plan and we stayed and it was wonderful. But in that moment, I was like, if I was in the spot to be able to decide, I would been like, done, we're out of here. But Joe, I mean, he was, so loyal to that team.
Yeah, so loyal. For how many years? For
11.
11 years. Okay. And I'm just like you. I see something negative and like that has to do with me or Mike, and I'm like, and it like consumes me. And this is just like one little thing.
I know.
Right?
Yes.
And you're never going to make that person, whoever that is, sitting behind a keyboard. Right? Because I always say, if you have a problem, come. I'll have a face-to-face conversation with you.
I know.
Right? But I understand where that's coming from. But how much like social media was prevalent when
it was.
So you touched on that a little bit.
It was like Twitter had like started maybe like halfway through his career. Instagram, that was like very, very new. And it was what Instagram used to be, where it was just like a picture. There was no live, there was no feed or anything.
Music.
Nothing. It was archaic. Which thank goodness, because we got to be protected a little bit in his first couple of years. And I got to be protected because I didn't have to post anything. I just got to be a supportive wife and go and have fun with my friends at his games and then walk away. And now these women, they feel like they instantly need to prove themselves and they need to have this following and they need to the outfit of the day and the this and then that, and they have stylists and I'm like, that is exhausting. Being in the NFL is exhausting as it is. I can't imagine then me having to be on display and show every time I walk out of the house to go to a game. I mean, my first game, I was like, oh gosh, what do I wear?
Right.
I wore a Browns t-shirt and flip-flops and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Had a beer. It was great.
Awesome.
No, these girls, they're like full glam now.
I want to ask kind of an odd question about food. Joe is somebody, one of the questions I asked him after he retired, what will you not miss? And he said eating. Right? Because he had to eat a ton. Because he couldn't keep weight on and they wanted him to keep weight on. So talk about how food consumed your lives as he's an NFL player.
Yes. I mean, luckily I do enjoy cooking, and it actually is easier cooking for lots of people than it is just for one. And so the amount of food that he would eat when he would come home for dinner, I mean, luckily they provided breakfast and lunch for him at the facility and all of his snacks and protein and whatever. But in order to keep on weight, you have to eat sugar. It's the number one thing that packs on the pounds. And so at night, I would make these beautiful dinners for him, and then he'd be like, okay, now what? I'm like, well, now for our third course is a tub of ice cream, and here's your Thin Mints. He would keep
I was just going to mention that.
boxes and boxes
Yes.
of Thin Mints. And in our freezer downstairs, it was just, he knew if I would take one, he'd be like, who opened the Thin Mints? I'm like, it was me. I'm so sorry. But no, I mean, it was so hard on his gut and his mental health too. I mean, he was just stuffing himself. And I'll never forget, this was one thing that I was so annoyed with. He came home one day and he was like, we did this like resting heart rate test, and they said if I just laid flat, I'd burn like 14,000 calories. And I was like for the whole day? And he's like, yeah, if I just laid flat. I was like, oh, that's so fun for you. Isn't that awesome?
To just drop it like
sneeze
that.
And I gained 5 pounds.
Yes,
so yay.
right. When Mike had him for the BS and Bourbon, we did a series here at Red and White at BS and Bourbon, and he was an excellent guest. And I laughed so hard because I also love Thin Mints, and I have a hard time just having a couple.
No, he has
But when he
sleeves.
has sleep, he goes 2 or 3 sleeves at night before I went to bed. I was like, what?
I know. Well, and the poor guy, he's like, I think I am allergic to gluten. Or I'm like, no. You are just overeating.
Yeah.
I mean, he was getting tested for everything, and they're like, I think I have a fructose intolerance. I'm like, no, honey. You are just a skinny man becoming obese, and like the process of that is just ruining your gut health.
So this was during when he was still in season. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And then he was very rude, and I got pregnant with our 4th baby, and he went keto. And
so rude.
it was extremely rude because I was like, this is what I live for. I'm married to an offensive lineman. My pregnancies are like go time. It's my Olympics.
Yes.
Like I get to eat with him.
Yes.
And I was pregnant with our 4th, and that's when we actually moved back here. So
Okay.
people would see us for the first time and they'd be like, oh my gosh, Joe, you look awesome. Annie, you're here. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Pregnancy weight, you asshole.
That's so funny.
So that was the low time in my life, is when he went keto, and it was like on like men's like swimming magazine wanted to do a picture. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Remember when you used to eat tubs of ice cream? Yeah, I remember. I was there for that.
Yeah, I have pictures.
Fat Joe was when I said yes.
Fat Joe. That's good. Okay. 11 years in the NFL.
Yeah.
And retirement starts to come up. Was there a reason? Was there a decision making? Did it take you a long time?
So his 10th season, right before, his knees are horrible. He has like no cartilage in either of his knees. It was so funny because people would say to him at the end of the year, oh my goodness, you got so lucky you didn't get injured. And he'd be like, well, I tore my meniscus and did this. And he'd have a surgery after every off season. And I mean, the amount of like liquids that they were taking out of his knees, like in between games and injecting him and all that. I mean, it was just really, really bad. So his 10th season, he said to me, I think this is it. I think this is my swan song, and I'm not going to say anything to, anybody on the team, but just, be prepared. So I was going to all of these games like, oh, this is my last time in Cincinnati. I was bringing Logan to all these games. I was crying, saying goodbye to all the staff. I mean, the staff at the Brown Stadium was so wonderful to me. There was no like women's room or childcare or anything like that. And so I was like pumping in bathrooms where there's a girl smoking on one side and another girl puking on the other side. And I'm like, hey. So some of these people would let me come into their like private little bathrooms and pump or like change the kids or whatever. And so I was crying, saying goodbye to them. And they're like, what is going on with this lady? And then at the end of that season, he's like, I think I got one more in me. I'm like, okay.
All of my emotions
Excellent.
this year.
I just cried at every NFL stadium, but let's do one more for sure. And it was because I think he just knew something was going to happen. And it was really hard for him to walk away. He was having such personal success. I mean, he had made his 10th Pro Bowl, and he was all pro, and he knew that the staff was going to let him go through training camp with very minimal practices. I mean, he would just show up on Sunday and be perfect without having to put his body through what he had to do as a rookie or the first 5 years. So he said, if I can do that still, I feel confident in my game. Because what he didn't want to have happen is for him to slip. He is a perfectionist. And he said, the second that my game slips, I will walk away. And so in that 11th season, I actually had both of the girls with me, and one of our friends that we had met through Joe's Hunting World had given us their front row seats. Normally we did not sit that luxurious, but it was front row. It was a beautiful day, and he went down. And I was like, oh no, okay, Daddy will get back up again. I mean, he gets up every time. And he didn't. And then my heart just sank. And then when he got up, he was clutching his arm. And I was like, okay, it's not his head, it's not his knees. And he just looked at me and shook his head. And I was like, oh no. And then he went into the blue tent of doom. And then they took him underneath, and I am just like in shock. And the girls, luckily, they weren't crying, but they didn't know what was going on. And so the security guard that I know really well, he came up to our seats and he let me through. And so I was like, it was like in a movie. I was just like in shock, and I didn't realize what was happening. And so I walked down on the field and went into the tunnel, and that's where they told me that he had torn his tricep right off the bone. And they're like, he's, not coming back from this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I just started sobbing, and then he came out and he was crying, but they had wrapped it, and then he went back out to watch, and it was so weird seeing them play without him, because for 11 years.
Right.
10,363 consecutive snaps.
Yes.
The
Every
longest streak.
single snap.
Yeah.
Every single snap.
Until then.
Wow.
It was, and even, he even says too, he's like, I was so blessed that like my shoe didn't come untied or my shoe didn't fall off. And there was one time that they tried to get him out of the huddle because we were beating Pittsburgh so bad. And we never beat Pittsburgh. We never beat anybody, let alone Pittsburgh. And it was a home game, and they sent in this poor backup tackle and tapped him on the shoulder and like, Joe, he's like, get the fuck out of here. And the guy's like, they told me to come in. And Joe's like, no.
Bye-bye.
Get the fuck out of here. And so he like turned around and he ran away.
That would have...
It would have broken
the
streak. And luckily, it wasn't on his mind, I don't think, in that moment, but he was like, no, like, this is my job and I will be doing my job. And they just didn't want him to get hurt, because in that game, our center, Alex Mack, had broken his leg.
Okay.
And so it was obvious on everybody's mind, like, we want to protect this guy. And he was like, no, I'm good. He's like,
and what season was that?
Gosh, that was like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was far into it. And then once everyone started talking about when he hit 10,000, it was like, he just wanted everyone to stop talking about it. Because, not that he's like into jinxes or anything like that, but he was just like, I would just rather just do my job and go. But as soon as they came out with the number, I was like, for 10,363 times, I held my breath for, whatever. I'm like, I'm like an Olympic swimmer. I've got lung capacity.
You can.
Because that was all I did. I just would watch him, hold my breath, wait until he popped back up, watch to see if anybody rolled over on him, then he would go on his merry little way.
Yeah. That's incredible. Give us a little glimpse of what it was like for the Hall of Fame.
Love surprises more than anything in this life. I would plan my own surprise birthday party if I could. I love them. It's magical. Okay. And so I wanted this to be so special for him.
Yeah.
And so first ballot, I think that he knew that he was going to get in at some point, but maybe not in the first year.
Yeah.
So we're at home, and I had planned this dinner out so that he would have to be home and dressed. And so I planned a dinner out with our very best friends, our neighbors, and I said to them, we're going to dinner at 7. If Joe thinks we're going to dinner at 5, just go with it. And they're like, okay. So they probably had some idea of what was going on, but no one at the time knew that the knocks were happening at our house. So
so they didn't even know?
No.
Like, you couldn't tell anybody?
No, I couldn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody in our family. No one knew.
And I'm glad Joe was dressed.
Well...
he wasn't.
Here comes the part of the story. So the kids are all there, and we had just started our planning for Germany. And so I had a map out of where we were going to live and where I wanted the kids to go to school. And we were just in the very beginning stages of mapping this out. It was still going to be another year until we moved.
Okay.
And so I told everyone we need to have a family meeting about where we're going to live. And I had put it into the kitchen away from the front door, because I knew that the camera crew was going to come up to the front door, and I needed everyone to be out of the way. So, because the kids didn't even know. And so we're over in the kitchen, and here comes Joe, and he's got his Hall of Fame beef button-up shirt and no pants. He's just wearing underwear. And I look at him, I'm like, we are going to dinner. You need to put pants on. He's like, yeah, but we're going to have a family meeting first. I was like, I think you should put pants on. He's like, seriously? He's like, we're just having a family meeting. I'm like, go put on a pair of pants.
And
he's like, oh.
Can I clarify family meeting? You're talking about with your kids.
With the kids.
Your 4 kids. Your mom and dad didn't come.
Just my 4 kids and me and Joe. And we were going to talk about, where the kids wanted to live and whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no plan for this meeting. There was just like a map and I had circled some things just to kind of as a decoy. Yeah. So he rolled his eyes, reluctantly went up and got his pants. He's like, okay, now can we do it? I'm like, yes. And as he's walking down, I texted the producer. I was like, you can come now. So it was the most perfectly timed thing. I said, okay, the first thing I want to talk about is, and then like the huge knock on the door. And
how cool
so
is
Jack
that?
walked around the corner and he saw Walter Jones in his giant jacket. And Jack just goes, there's a guy in a gold jacket. Dad, you made the Hall of Fame. And my kids are screaming and Joe opens the door and then he says, welcome to the Hall of Fame. And
oh my gosh, how
Jack
special.
screaming in the background, we did it. And it's like, it was so wonderful.
So sweet. And they were getting it all on video,
all
right?
on video.
So you didn't have to worry about having a family member doing all of that behind the scenes.
Yes, it was all on video. It was so wonderful.
Great.
I know.
And you were in Cleveland.
We were in Madison.
You were here.
Yeah, we were here in Madison in our house, and unfortunately, it was so. All the other guys that went into the Hall of Fame that year were like Miami, Florida, all these beautiful. So the show that they put together, it's all these beautiful locations, and then this poor crew. It was the windiest day in February,
of course,
and they're like coming around our house, and it's like they look miserable. And I know they probably wanted to ask him like, why the hell do you live here? Like everybody else is in Miami, and you're. But no, it was so perfect. It was such a wonderful day.
What a great story.
It was awesome.
And he had no idea, and you're such a good secret keeper.
He had no idea. And then after that, it was just like the party planning and all the good stuff. It was so wonderful.
And then it happens in the summer, right?
And then it's after the Hall of Fame game in August.
Okay.
Then they have then you have our big party. And it was, oh my gosh.
Just so much fun.
It was so much fun.
And when you were mapping out during that pretend family meeting, that wasn't Germany based. That was when you were here then for good, Wisconsin.
We were here for good, but then we were mapping out. So then actually that year, so he found out he made it into the Hall of Fame. That May, we took the kids over to look for schools and a place to live and all that.
Okay.
Then we came home, had the party. He actually went in. And then that January, the next year of 2024, we left for Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
And briefly, what was Germany all about?
Oh, it was such a roller coaster. When he first told me he wanted to do this, I was like, you want to do what? But I lived in England when I was little. My dad had a job that kept taking him back and forth. And so we just moved as a family, and it was the most magical time for our family. It was, I mean, I have some of my best memories, and it was a very short amount of time. And so Joe and I have always talked about that when we were dating, of he wanted to do something with NFL Europe. Well, then NFL Europe kind of fell to the wayside, and now it has like 5 different entities from it, but there's the European League of Football, ELF, and actually now that is something else now. But so when he was over in Munich for one of the NFL games, I think this was like 3 years ago, he called me and he was like, this is the most magical city, and I have told anybody that will listen that I want to coach here and bring our family here. Yeah. I was like, great. So the only problem is that there was no there was no corporation that could help us. And so we packed 21 suitcases, found our apartment and found a school, and just got on a plane and moved there. And we were like, what have we done? Yeah. But it was absolutely, the kids, it is their most favorite time that they've ever had. It was like a pause for us.
Sure.
Because you get pulled in a million different directions here. And it was just like nope, sorry, we're in Germany for 7 months. So
yeah. And were any of the kids reluctant?
No.
At all? They were all like, heck yeah, let's go.
Logan, my oldest, she was actually the only one that I asked. Oh. Because she was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And, starting real sports and all that. So it was 5th grade, 3rd, 1st, and then Reese was in 4K.
Yeah, right.
And so I asked her, I was like, how do you feel about leaving in the middle of the year, leaving your friends and doing this? And she's such an adventure girl that she was like, done, sign us up.
And 7 months. It wasn't like you were asking for 7 years
7 months,
missing high school or whatever.
They knew they were coming home at the end, and so it was an easy yes.
I have one more serious question in our final couple of minutes, because I know you be cognizant of your time. What's the biggest challenge right now with your kids and being competitive, given who their mom and dad are? Because there's expectations that go with the Thomas name, what Joe has accomplished, obviously you as a college athlete as well. So there might be expectations or challenges.
Yeah.
How does that work from a mom and dad parenting standpoint with competitive kids?
It's really difficult being back in Madison. I will say that our kids, they are 4 or 5 sport athletes still right now. And that helps it a little bit. I think if one of our kids said, no, I only want to do basketball or I only want to play football, I think that would maybe magnify it a little bit more. But it's really difficult when other people will say, oh yeah, your mom played for the Badgers. Are you whatever? And because Logan right now, I mean, she's in 7th grade.
Yeah.
When I was in 7th grade, my shoe size was a 10.5 and I was, 100 pounds. And so she's very similar to me in that respect of like, you just got to give that girl some time.
Yeah.
And right now is when people want to see, the Annie Nelson in Logan. And I try to tell her all the time that that's not what we're looking for here. We want you to have fun. And I ask her all the time, do you want to play college sports? And she's like, no, I just want to play and have fun. Like, excellent. Then we're moving on to track. We're moving on to lacrosse. So I will say the spreading out the sports has helped that a little bit. But yeah, it's a really hard time to be a youth parent for sports. I think it does help that Joe and I did have success and that we're not looking to fulfill anything through our children. And if our kids play, great. If they don't, I saw a side of things where I saw my sisters go through college as a regular student. I'm like, how wonderful would that have been? I can't say that I would have done anything differently because I had such a wonderful time as a college athlete, but it's not the end all be all for us. And so I think that does help things a little bit. But people will ask us, why aren't your kids playing AAU or doing this? And I'm like, because I didn't until I was in 8th grade.
Right.
Joe didn't play football until he was in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So I just, we have a different perspective on it. And especially as a couple that went through it, I think it's a little easier for us to say no to things.
Sure.
But it's so intense right now. It really is. I just wish that parents would just take a step back.
Yes.
But we are the first generation, I think. Yes, there's always been college athletics. We were the first generation where it was like, oh, Annie got a scholarship to go to Wisconsin. Well, if I would have just done AAU or this or that, maybe I would have. So let's put Tim in all of this.
Yeah.
So I think that our peers have this idea that if I could have, I would have. And so they're putting that into their kids and saying, if we do this for him, he will get a scholarship. He will do this because my parents didn't and I could have done it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe, but what are you giving up then? You're giving up your entire life and your kid is also going to get burnt out by 9th grade.
And there's an expense.
And it's super expensive.
Sometimes
yes.
Mike has done, the math. Like you could have paid for your college, kids' college education.
Yes. Well, and I played AAU, but I also had parents that were like, no, we have a cabin and you will not play AAU in the entire month of July. That's the recruiting month. I mean, it really is. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. So I played AAU in June and then nothing in July. And so it's like, well, you played AAU. And it's like, light. I played AAU light. I was lucky and blessed to be 6'1" and had a great high school career. So these parents that are searching for this, it's like, that's not the answer. Right. It really isn't.
And I'm just, last one for me, I'm wondering how grounding it is to be ranchers.
That was going to be my last question.
Oh, well, then you ask it.
Life on the farm, man. It's so funny because we bought our farm before we had kids. And this was hunting property only. And Joe wanted us to stay here in the summer times because they would have off like June 15th to like July 20th or whatever. And I walked into this old farmhouse. It was a family that lived there for 100 years, the Stanichka family, the sweetest family from the Czech Republic. And the man that lived there for 80 years, all by himself, never got married, fried fish in this kitchen every day, also had probably never heard of a vacuum or a dust rag or anything. And I was like, that's not where I'm staying in the summertime. And so we gutted the farmhouse and it became our like little respite from everything. And it was quiet and then bringing kids into it. I mean, it's where we lived during COVID. It's our special little sanctuary. And then I asked for animals. And so I did this to myself. I grew up with a beef cattle or just one. one singular cow.
Yeah.
And then that's what we would have in our chest freezer. And then I subsequently became a vegetarian because I was like, we killed our pet. Like, this was Norman. What are we doing? And so I wanted that same experience for my children. And so we got 5 little, a mom, a baby, a bull, and then we butchered them and was like, that is the best steak we've ever had in our entire lives. I mean, we were hand feeding these things corn and they were out in the pasture. And so then Joe gave it to a chef, Dan Bonanno. He was a pig in a fur coat chef in downtown Madison. Yeah. And Dan's like, this is the best steak I've ever had. And he's been a chef all over the world. And so Dan put it on his menu, and then more people. And now,
how many do you have now?
I don't even know.
You don't even know how many?
So many. And now it's Wagyu. And so he's actually at a meeting right now with trying to, find CEO. And I mean, it has expanded.
That's awesome.
But it's still our sweet little family farm there. We just were out there last weekend with a whole group of friends, and it's just, it still has the bones of it being our safe place. But now just with the benefit of it, giving him something. And that's the other part of like retirement was there's 3 paths that you can take in retirement. 1, you coach or you go into broadcasting. 2, you flounder and do nothing and you just can't figure out your thing. Or 3, you go just like balls deep and like whatever it is. And you're just like, cause he's an athlete and he's a perfectionist. And so if he's going to be a farmer, he's going to be the best farmer that is ever walked the face of this earth.
Well, the third one would be a passion, right?
A passion.
So you found like whether it was his passion all along.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
yes,
it's a passion.
it's so true. And I mean, luckily for me, it's a healthy passion, and it's not like I'm going to go golf, every day or whatever. But yeah, it's literally, we see all of our friends all over the NFL struggle with that. He does not want to coach. I don't want him to coach. That life is just not something that we would be okay with. I mean, he would be gone all the time. So this for him is so perfect because I mean, he's using every aspect of his past life in the marketing side of it. He gets to be the face of it, but then also, I mean, it's really challenging, and he's thriving. He's absolutely thriving. So
that's amazing.
Now we're ranchers.
Yeah. Well, Annie, we could talk like
another
hour.
I know. If you're looking for more episodes, I'll come back. No, if I'm invited.
We didn't talk about really. I wanted to ask you if you had aspirations to play after college.
Oh,
we also
funny that you asked that. I did play in a women's league last year, and I jammed my finger. This is the first time I got my wedding ring on in over a year.
Oh gosh.
So talk about injuries.
Yeah, right.
I mean, poor Joe, he's got like shoulders and up, and I'm like, oh honey, I jammed my finger playing old lady basketball. But no, other than that, 0.
And then just a quick back to the draft. He was number 3 overall, and he went fishing. He didn't go to the...
Yes, and that was a huge... Roger Goodell was pissed.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because that was the thing, is you invited the top guys. They came, they wore their suits. It was all pomp and circumstance. And Joe's
Did he not think?
He was like, I don't want to wear a suit. First of all, I mean, he was Fat Joe at the time. Suits were not comfortable. And he was like, he loved going fishing with his dad. And honestly, that's pretty much the last time that he got to go fishing with his dad on Lake Michigan. And so he was like, I just want to spend the day. I don't want to watch myself fall. And I mean, he's like, my agent's telling me I'm going number 3, I'm going 4, whatever. But he's like, you never know.
Yeah.
When those guys get in the draft room, anything can happen.
Yep.
And I mean, luckily, we saw Brady Quinn. He fell to like 22, and he thought he was going in top 5. Yeah. And all the cameras are on him, and it's just an uncomfortable setting. Yeah. And it's just not Joe. He just does not like that. He doesn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So he went fishing with his dad, my dad, and then I stayed at home with my mom and his siblings, and just watched where we were going to go. It was the strangest feeling of. This guy on stage is going to tell me where I'm going to go live the rest of my adult life. Like, it was very strange. But luckily it was Cleveland, because there was Detroit and Arizona and all that. Anything would have been lovely, but we felt at home in Cleveland, and it was a perfect place for us.
Yeah. And even though you cried all the way back to Wisconsin, we're glad to have you here.
And now, Joe, he knew this is where we needed to be, but I had made my life there. And I was pregnant with our 4th baby. Yeah. Meeting my OB at 33 weeks pregnant was like, when I was saying goodbye to my OB in Cleveland, I was crying so hard I got a bloody nose. And she's like, let's talk about medication. I was like, I'm fine. I'm just really sad. But it was my home. It was where I was an adult. I mean, from 23 to, 40 or 31, 32. I mean, it was really home for me. And we still have some of our absolute best friends that are there. And now, we go back quite a bit because Joe still works for the Browns because why not?
Right.
Add it to the list.
Yes.
But yeah, no, it was a wonderful place for us. It really was.
Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and love hearing a little bit more about your story and behind the scenes. And you're a human being, and your family has emotions.
No, I love this concept. I really do, because it's just people forget that there are families surrounding these guys, and especially in football because it's just all consuming. But thank you.
Awesome. Yes, thank you.
Annie Thomas, thank you. Sip and Spill is sponsored by Summit Credit Union, by Habish and Rotier, by Red and White Wine Bar in Wanakee, by Evie & Co. Boutique in Wanakee, and by the spa at Autumn Organics. Once again, thanks for tuning in. Sip and Spill, Episode 4. We'll tell you who it is coming up very soon.